Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder. We're on to episode 96. We're looking a little bit different in the G4 Claims studio this evening. As you can see, we're sitting rather differently downstairs.
I'm not used to it at all.
Nah, you don't.
Do
you like it?
Nah,
you don't like it. I don't mind it. I think that's because I'm
head of the table.
Head of the table.
I mean, it's not too bad. I can barely make you out with it.
You've got a fucking good. It's like the away end to Celtic Park, blocking your view. But as always, mini game time. We're going back to 1996. Who was Celtic's top goal scorer in the 1995/96 campaign? Do you know?
Van Hooijdonk?
Yes, it was. It was Pierre Van Hooijdonk, who actually done better than the years prior, because as we know, for a few years it was pretty poor. In 93, Payton scored 15, McGinlay in 94 scored 12, and then Collins in 95 scored 12. Van Hooijdonk blows them out the water as he scored 32 inside 44 games that season. We finished second in the table with Tommy Burns in charge. Semi-finals of the Scottish Cup, quarter-finals of the League Cup, and only the second round of the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup. So wasn't the best season, but it was the 90s.
It was good football though, wasn't it though? Everybody says that Tommy Burns' football was really, really reminiscent of the Celtic
You look through
way.
that team actually that season, and there was some great players. Tom Boyd was at the club at the time. Obviously Phil O'Donnell, Peter Grant, John Collins, Van Hooijdonk, Andy Walker. Good players, but we're slowly getting into the dominance soon. We're nearly there, a few years away. As always, it's nice to be back. And to my left-hand side, I'm joined by someone I've already done a podcast today with, but I'm joined by Ryan McGinlay. Ryan, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm glad to have given you the hosting duties back.
Aye.
I did the hosting today. It was a bit of a weird dynamic in that regard.
Interesting question for you. What do you prefer? What seat do you prefer being in? Host or co-host?
Depends how much sleep I've had. Sometimes if I've had a good sleep, then I don't mind hosting, because you can direct the conversation and where things are going to go, and you can control things. But I think I prefer being the bridesmaid than the bride, to be honest.
You prefer being the bridesmaid?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's interesting. And then to my right hand side we have Kieran and Auld, who is back for the second week. Calum has posted MIA. So they've got to get used to you today.
I know, unlucky.
Well, you've all got that your fan who I forgot his name. Is it Liam? Off the top of my head.
He's back in the comments again today.
So there you go.
Good to see you, Liam.
At least you're pleasing some people. How's your week been?
Alright, I mean, back at uni next week, so just getting asked to work extra shifts in this week before I'm back to it.
Before you're 1 year away from being another qualified journalist.
I know, these boys at uni.
2 degrees around one table, you would never think it. We've got...
Technically I've got the bachelor's.
True, so 3 degrees on the table.
Going for the honours.
Aye. We've got quite a bit to talk about today. So last week somehow we managed to keep things within an hour. Will we manage that 2 straight weeks? I don't know. We'll see in an hour. So I'm going to start off with not Feyenoord. I'm not going to start off with Livingston either. Where I want to start today is Brendan Rodgers' comments earlier this afternoon. Brendan Rodgers has been the talk of the town after commenting on the summer transfer business. So for those who have been under a rock or may not know what we're talking about, Brendan Rodgers today, I said post-match, I might say pre-match, his pre-match press conference ahead of Livingston, he was asked the question whether or not he was happy with his squad.
Content.
And changes. Yes, if he was content, sorry. Where he simply replied, no. That was the answer, no. But very simple man, Kieran. But no.
That reminds me of Neil Lennon. No.
You've got to get it again. It's no.
The iRobot meme, the robot that said no.
that was
See, to be fair though, the comment that he made after it, because
I'm going to go into what he said after it. So he replied no. When he was asked if he was content with the changes to the squad. But after that, he followed it up with the quote, "I think if you ask any manager, they will always be wanting more, of course." So there has been a lot of criticism as to where the Celtic squad is right now by certain sections of the support. Ryan, what did you make of Brendan Rodgers' comments this afternoon? Do you think he's entitled to be frustrated? Do you think it's more of a throwaway comment? What's your initial thoughts?
Brendan Rodgers is a very smart man. He's a very, very intelligent football manager. He knows exactly what message he's trying to convey to the board with saying that. He then goes back into towing the party line with the follow-up, but he makes his point before he says it, in my opinion. I think he knows exactly what he's saying. He's putting pressure on the board for January and next summer because, I think he's been backed, but just not backed in the way that we thought he was going to get backed when he came in, There was stories going about saying we were going to spend 10, 12 million pounds on one player. Looking back on that does look like pie in the sky stuff, unfortunately. But, as long as Brendan Rodgers is getting backed and getting the best possible players to do the job, then I don't think anyone can complain. The fact that he's making those mumblings means that I think there will be movement in January, both players going out the way and players coming in the way. It has to be with the Asian Cup as well. Celtic could find themselves in a position where I think is it 4 players need to get called up before you
postpone games.
Knowing Celtic's luck, they would get 3. Somebody wouldn't get a call up, Hatate or Kyogo or whoever, or Talio as well, to be fair. They've got to keep themselves right. I think there will be movement both out and in the way in January, but Brendan Rodgers knows exactly what he's saying with comments like that. He's smart enough to know, and he knows how the media works. He's been there long enough. He says, he was saying one of the first comments, he said it on Sky Sports and he said it in the press conference. He's got common sense. He's been around here long enough, so he knows exactly what he's saying when he says stuff like that.
Before I come to you, Kieran, just to add some more context, because it ties into a couple of things you said. This was the other comments quickly thrown in by Brendan Rodgers. He said, "We'll work with the players that are here." I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I think every manager will tell you they maybe wish they could have had 1 or 2 more signings. The window's closed. We've had the players in. I'm a coaching manager, and we'll work with the very best players at our disposal to make our performance level the best that we can possibly be. Now we are preparing already for January and the summer window next year. So Kieran, what's your initial thoughts on everything? Do you see where he's coming from? Do you think he's been shortchanged? Just speak your mind.
No, I don't think there's anybody in the Celtic sport that will be confused by his comments. Everybody knows that the summer window was not as strong as it possibly could have been. I think we're at a stage now where people are eager to write off players straight away. I'm not going to get on board with any of that. I think it's some of the stuff we've been seeing is just pure knee-jerk reaction, which after I lost in the Champions League, it was always going to happen, but I feel like some of it's been a bit over the top. But that's just isn't it? We're all prone to a wee bit of a reactionary,
knee-jerk.
You can't blame people. But obviously after that result the other night, it looked like a game where people were able to pick out maybe 3 players. I'm seeing a lot of tweets saying people saying these 3 players are the only ones in that team that are Champions League level. So obviously going into the summer, we were talking about we were discussing in earlier podcasts about the prospect to were we going to spend big money. I didn't think we would throughout the summer. I was kind of hoping we would, but I feel like people were choking for players to be signed for big money just for the sake of it, and obviously the opportunities never came up. But the ones you look at, is Rodgers happy with the no getting like Podence and people like that over the line? So you're wondering, but even then that Podence didn't go far.
Was it? I think he ended up going for like 8 million or something like that. Was
Olympiacos,
it? Something.
So it wasn't as high as what was getting quoted in that. So I don't think Rodgers would be entirely happy. He says no manager would be happy, but I think you've also got to take into consideration with these comments. It might be in a sort of hindsight perspective with Nawrocki getting injured and all the other people get like Nat Phillips coming in and not actually being able to play, and he
rolls his ankle.
It's just pure luck then.
So what do you think about this then? Do you think that after his comments, this makes January and next summer very telling? I think that already people are going to be on the edge of their seat waiting to see how he's backed. Is this now the kind of Brendan Rodgers saying your move to the board Ryan? How big is the next couple
I
of
don't
windows?
want to say that because it sounds as if the two are at odds when there needs to be a harmonious connection between the two. We know how it ended the first time around. You don't
That's
want
what
that
I'm
same-
scared about. What happens if the board drive him to the same position?
He can't go anywhere for 3 years, unfortunately, with Brendan Rodgers. He said it.
Oh, he said it.
He said he'd be here for 3 years
aye.
unless he's emptied.
A man of
if
his
he
word,
wants to be
famously.
welcome back in Glasgow, he won't leave for 3 years. You know, he's just beginning to get the trust back of Celtic supporters, or maybe the majority of Celtic supporters. There'll still be some that don't that don't trust him whatsoever, and they'd be well within their rights. You know, they've been given solid proof to not trust him, but I think he will be here for the 3 years at least. You know, he said it. He seems to be happy in Glasgow. It's the board's move. You know, Celtic have got a top quality manager at the helm. Back him and give him what he needs, and he'll return that favour tenfold, both domestically and in European competition. I know we'll get on to Feyenoord, but opening 45 minutes, he's seen some stuff to show that we can compete.
Yep. So just give him the tools to do it. Thank you.
Because I think he's got a very clear picture in his head, and there's been questions raised about where the players coming in, what his signings and that. I think even in the past couple of years, people say, "Oh, Ange got his signings and that," but realistically, it wasn't Ange. Like, he maybe put the word in, but these scout networks are in place in these countries. He wasn't the one picking them out himself. So, but I think if you're Rodgers, you see the way Ange got backed, but it's not like Rodgers didn't get money spent in the window. It's just a lot of people. I feel like we had a nice wee few weeks. I know hearing the term project signing getting thrown about, and it's all I can see on Twitter now again. And I feel like it's just this pure flip flop thing. And I think Celtic need to just get a good run of games, because we were talking about Rangers with the big one, then the next one, get that under our belts, and then we can hopefully just kick on and put any negativity in that behind. But then that happens midweek, and I think it might not be favourable to say for everybody. I think we're back on that knife edge balance between, because it's so like everybody's fake extreme to extreme now, and it looked like if we could have got a draw midweek, I think it would have been plain sailing. But after getting beat and the two people getting sent off obviously didn't help. But I just think we're back to the point where Saturday's massive again, and I just want there to be a run of games where I'm not going into like a league game thinking this is huge.
Yeah, just
unless
want
it is a
off.
big game, because we're looking at every game now. Every game is important, but we're going into all these games now thinking there's pressure to kick on for this. And is it going to be like this after every Champions League game? Let's hope no, because we can't be dealing with
I
this.
know. I can't take much.
I think in one way I do agree with Kieran, but in the other way I feel as if this season has been re-energised with this up and down movement. I think it's exciting in a weird and sort of perverse way.
It's a psychotic part of
Yeah.
it.
It is, but at the same time, it's like, see if people like never just went for like one episode.
I know.
It's polar, like they just flip.
I think the fans need to get on board with the fact that it is an up and down season in that regard as well. If they can do that without making knee-jerk reactions, they'll be
I've
fine.
made before about it's either gone amazing or it's a fucking crisis. There is no in between, and it's clear to see on social media, because one positive result is like against Rangers, it was all in Kadori. We're getting towed into them. One bad result for us, and it's back to panic
worst
stations
team.
again. So it's like you can't go for 1 week on, oh, we're fucking, that's it, we're dynamite now, to what is this?
One thing that I wanted to touch on that you brought up was the whole, and this is obviously doesn't really tie in to Rodgers' comments strictly, but the whole turning on players and project signing this, project signing that. And this isn't me saying an opinion on the transfer model or who we've signed. My point I want to make is, what if we did go out and spend £8-10 million on a player? I wonder if they had a bad 45 minutes, what the reaction would have been.
This during the summer transfer window. If people sign them for the big money. Because I said at the time, look at how we treat the players that are labelled as project signings. If they have a bad game, it's a fucking project signing. We signed some. If we went out and signed somebody for 10 million, one bad off a football, what a waste of money. Fucking flop.
It's maybe the reason why they don't, because there's so much pressure on them.
See, after Tuesday, I was just like, I'm going to try and stay off Twitter, because I just knew what I was going to see, and I kept finding myself.
And the first tweet I seen you put up the other day was
some roaster saying like, I'd rather have David Turnbull and Rio Hatate, just because. And then you've got the people retweeting it saying, "Oh, this is shades of Edward and that, and the goatees and down in tools." I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Very, very dangerous precedent you have going down that road. It's like the body language CSC also becomes the attitude CSC. How you can tell how a player's doing.
I know it's like you'd think that these guys who are putting up the tweets like that are in Lennoxtown 5 days a week with them. Like
they've got to be to make that assumption.
It's
You can't
really
make the
bold
attitude assumption unless you're with them 24/7.
I don't know if we're going to go more in depth on Tuesday, but just talking about Hatate, like, granted he was off the boil, but I mean, I'd rather have him in. Like, people are saying David Turnbull. I'm like, Hatate's going to come good. He's a player that belongs at that level. Obviously, he never had the best of games on Tuesday. I mean, he's just coming back for injury. Probably wasn't ready, but we're in a position where you'd rather play
absolutely. I couldn't like, and this is no. I'll talk about this more when we come out to Tuesday. I'll just say it very quickly. Turnbull against the Feyenoord midfield, and this is no disrespect to David Turnbull, but I would have given me the fear because he's just too slow. Like I could just imagine the Feyenoord midfield running all over him, and that's just.
I feel like O'Reilly and Hatate have got the sort of. I don't know. It's hard to big up Hatate because he was shite.
It's hard to sit here and give him
you
a
know the
back.
qualities he's got, and you know he can. Like, I mean, even against Real Madrid, like he looked like he belonged on that pitch. Like, and in recent Champions League campaigns, it's been hard to say that about a lot of Celtic players.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think it's making. I mean, Lazio at home is always going to be a huge game, but it's annoying we never got any points on the board at all. When I think up until the sending offs and that, I didn't think. I mean, it was a stupid goal to get away, but as I said at the time, it was like a typical Celtic in Europe. So
yeah, just to tie up our conversation then, and then we'll move on to Feyenoord for 5 or 10 minutes. Just to tie up the conversation about Brendan Rodgers' comments and the whole conversation surrounding Celtic's recruitment in a minute. I think it's just been put into a more frustrating position for a lot of fans, considering the financial reports that were published last week. Of course, Celtic publishing that they've made 600 times their profit that they did the year prior, with the Champions League money, of course, 70 million in the bank, yada yada yada. Does that make it just a little bit harder, do you think, Ryan, for fans to accept that we aren't going out there and pushing the boat a little bit further when it comes to transfers?
Yeah, and I know they can't help the timings because there's these set times that they have to announce these things to the London Stock Exchange. That's what happens when you're a PLC, but you know, it's the timing isn't great. At the same time, you know, you've seen Celtic sort of not scrimp in the transfer window. I don't think that's the right word, but you know, maybe go for the cheaper option with a number of players. You know, they're very much in that sort of project mould. Even Brendan Rodgers is saying there's players that are like identified through the pipelines and that. So he's using all these buzzwords basically to absolve himself of any blame if these players aren't any good. You know, the fact that Kwon isn't in the Champions League squad for the beginner, it's not the best look. You know, I know why Nawrowski's not in, because he's injured, and there's no point in putting in 2 or 3 injured centre halves, because then you'll just hamstring yourself literally and figuratively. But yeah, it's an interesting situation with the whole transfers, especially with the financial results. Celtic have obviously got the money to spend it. It's just whether or not the board want to pull the trigger on that. And right now it looks as if they don't. They'd rather keep the money and Celtic basically being a competition winner in the Champions League rather than an actual player. Is
the Peter Lawwell out brigade well within their rights, Kieran? Think there's problems still with the current setup? Because listen, I think that I've tried my best to. I've always been on my channel very critical of the board and how we've run Celtic for the last 5 to 10 years. You know, I feel like we could have been a lot better and a lot bigger with our ambitions, but you know that there is a noticeable lack of ambition at times. And it makes a lot of it justifiable for supporters who do want to voice that opinion. I think
they've came in for a lot more criticism because of all the talk that was getting done when Rodgers was appointed. We want to make an impact in Europe, and obviously when, as a Celtic fans, we hear that. That's something you don't really hear too often, like in the past decade or so. I feel like that's really been the forefront of what a manager's came out to say. So obviously your mind's going to start racing, thinking we're going to start spending decent money on players here. Even as much as I was trying to be rational and thinking like, nah, we probably won't. I was hoping they built you up like that, and I think the fact that they've built fans up is just making it a lot worse than now, because we haven't went out and spent more money than we're used to. Because I think even though I said I didn't expect us to do it, I think when you put out that statement, we want to make an impact in Europe this season, I think tied in with that is the fact you're probably going to go above and beyond. And at this stage, we're not really seeing a lot of above and beyond actions being taken, because I mean the transfer window was pretty average. I mean, we've not been helped with certain players getting injured, or players came in injured. Like, we don't know how good Marco Tilly was going to be, sort of thing. Like, he could have came in if he was fit even maybe in the Champions League squad, maybe when he had the problems, we talked about who's going to start in the wings. But because you can fully see where people are coming, I don't really know how much influence Peter Lawwell's got in the boardroom and now people saying he never left really in that. So you really don't know what goes on behind closed doors, to be fair. So it's hard to pass comment, but I think people are within their rights to have their issues, because as you said, there has been a lack of ambition. It's been like, it's good to see the club being run well, but I think when you see figures like that posted, I mean, I seen tweets before the game even started on Tuesday saying like the Nicky Hare squad, and we're posting these profits, and like, look at the squad we're about to field in the Champions League. So I mean, it can be seen as a wee bit of a kick in the teeth, but as you said, McGinlay, you can't control when these accounts come out, but it was quite poor timing.
Aye, it's just unfortunate. It's
It's
typical Sellik. Typical Sellik. Talking about typical Celtic, let's spend 8 or 10 minutes talking about typical Celtic and just refreshing our memories of that European defeat on Tuesday. Now, you might want to skip this part if you've already done your wallowing, but we may as well cover it for 10 minutes or so. Just me and Ryan, we spoke about it this morning, so I'll come to you first, Kieran, to have your fresh opinion live on YouTube. Shot ourselves in the foot again.
I mean, it's there's only so many times you can say typical Celtic in Europe, but they keep giving you reason to do it. Like, I was like, even when we gave away that free kick at the end of the first half, I was sitting in my head, I was praying it wasn't going to happen, but I was like, this is just, like, I can see this happening right now. And then for the fashion for it to go in, with the wall breaking apart like that, Hart, I mean, people complain about Hart's position, and I suppose that's what it was for, but I feel like Hart in the past has kind of been, all you need to do is look back at Lee Griffiths bagging 2 free kicks against him. People are saying what's his positioning about then, so it's not exactly the most surprising thing in the world, but for the distance that was taken for the bounce it took before, it shouldn't have been a goal. Like, we should have put a stop to that. So it's just frustrating, especially conceding right before half time. Like, that just puts a downer on it. You come out, we give away the penalty, second yellow, save the penalty, Odenholm lunges in like that for God knows what reason. It's just, I was just sitting there, and if you don't laugh, you'll greet sort of thing, because it was a game that I genuinely thought, was it Martin O'Neill saying they were quite, like, Feyenoord were ordinary. And I think that's what's going to hurt more, because that game, I'm not saying it was there for the Titans to go and, like, scud them, but we weren't really offering too much attacking wise, but you've got to think with 11 men on the park, we could have got something out of that game. So it's just annoying that the individual errors, which is something we talk about a lot of the time in Champions League, stupid individual errors is what costs us goals, it's what costs us the games. And it's just, it feels like we've got this curse and nothing's going to change, like, no matter who we get in the squad.
Remember that story about Yaya Toure putting the voodoo curse on Guardiola? Who's done it to us? Who along the years has broken away and given us that voodoo curse?
I know.
Because it's happened. But you're right, individual errors leading to stupid goals. It's just repeat after rinse and repeat.
I was just I was like, I'm hoping we can just turn that around the Champions League, because the home games are massive, but what we've just sat and spoke about, I'm hoping by the end of the Champions League group stage we don't look back on all the podcasts and it's just this exact like 10-minute thing over and over again. Because
Copy, paste. We won't even need to ask us about it, just take it.
I'll just say that we'll
just clip it,
we'll
from
move
the floor.
and then we'll put that in.
I think one of the only silver linings you can maybe take is, you need to hope that Feyenoord get beaten all their other games, but it kind of, if that got out of hand and it came down to the final game against Feyenoord and we need to beat them, if they went and beat us 5-0 there, that would have put any notion of us getting third place, like, to bed, because the fact it's 2-0, I'm not saying like, after that performance, but it makes you think it's 3-0 and game match 6 is going to be, but if you're forward thinking like that, that's something. Like, the fact we were able to keep it down to
just a bit.
I know, where they chucked our goals. So I mean, that's if you want to be an optimist, that's what you can maybe take for it.
I had to ask my dad at full time if it was 2-0 or not, because I've honestly thought it was 4 or 5. I was writing my instant analysis. I was like, was it 2-0 or was it 4 or 5? Because I seen the ball going at the back of the net a number of times. It's just it get ruled out for VAR. I think that's the worst Feyenoord will play. I think they'll be better at home, away from home against Celtic. They've got to be.
I don't see them getting something, especially in the home games against Lazio and Atletico. I think they will. There's a chance they will get a win in that, which isn't ideal for us, because we're going to need to make Celtic Park a fortress. People don't feed it anymore, and that's what annoys me.
It's a tourist
I
attraction
think
now.
there's too many people, like especially there's a lot of Celtic fans that are happy when they see opposition players and managers pure bigging it up. They're bigging it up because when they draw Celtic, they're thinking to themselves nowadays, they're not fearful. They're thinking, I'll get to go and sample the atmosphere and go home with 3 points. Like, there's no fear factor anymore at Celtic
true.
Park.
It's true.
It's an automatic.
It's sadly true. A lot of people refuse to accept that.
Like,
That's the worst
some
part.
people really won't like what we're talking about now, but it's realistic because people don't fear Celtic Park.
This was
anymore.
the Celtic Park that stood up and applauded Luka Modric last season.
Ugh.
You know, like that happened. You know, there was thousands.
I'm sick of being
standing
this
clapping.
tourist attraction that's appearing in all the top 10 lists for atmospheres and that. Like, it's not a hostile place. Like, the up until kick-off it's good. But if we go 1-0 behind, it's flat. Like, these teams want to come here and sample the atmosphere and they don't fear it. Like, we need to make it a place where teams don't want to come to.
The atmosphere's a bit of a myth as well.
It's because in recent years it has but that's the thing, and that's a shared responsibility. It's no down, it's no down to the supporters totally, and it's no down to us that's happened. The reason it's became a myth is because you get your hopes up so high, and then within 10 minutes you're 1-0 down, and everybody's on their arse because you've lost the game. The team need to perform better. The board need to put more money into the team, and then that will get the fans back to the point where Celtic Park genuinely, but late 2000s. When I was young, and even the early 2010s, was that place that you feared going. But it's not been that since 2013. Yeah, we've not won since 2013.
2013 Ajax at home was the last time we won at home in the group
Aye,
stage.
I'll deflect a shot.
That's the last time we won a Champions League game at Celtic Park.
In that game as well.
Near Beaton got a sending off in that game as well.
Was that the
year after?
Was that
Did he not get sent off in like the away game?
No, it was the home
He
game.
scored in the
Okay, I don't
in the
know.
Europa League, wasn't
Because-
it?
point back to
Because
that.
the red card, it's just because he made his European debut on that game, as did Odin
We
home.
spoke about that today.
Yeah, it's the similarities, but I do think. Now, this isn't like a general statement to all fans, but I think the fans need to be on board with the team a wee bit more, especially in Europe. They need to remember that Celtic are sometimes not the favourites in a game, and they need to adjust their responses and their feelings with regard to that.
Like, it feels like I don't want us to feel like we're launching and attacking their own
you can't
supporters.
release that.
Absolutely not. But it's always funny when you watch.
It doesn't
See
help
when
the
you watch
fans and
like
players.
other games in the Champions League and it's somebody like, I don't know, Sheriff Tiraspol. They could be doing like 3-4-0 and their fans are still going for it. You know what I mean? Whereas Celtic Park becomes a
I suppose
morgue of a place.
to go into the thing is that the novelty for them being in the Champions League,
Yeah.
they're not expecting it, and like, whereas we've got sky high expectations.
Yep. It's a hard one. It's really difficult. It's just a horrible. I hate being in that. The way that I worded it in my video the other day, I hate being in that middle ground of football clubs right now, where we're not the bottom of the barrel. We're obviously a massive club, but we're not the creme de la creme. We're not a team that can compete. It's a horrible middle ground purgatory to be in because
It's
you
the
don't know
one
where to put your
you don't
expectations.
accept it either.
Aye,
Because
aye.
you just cling on to the memories of these like games going by, and then you're
We're not making any new memories.
Because it's like you get yourself up for the Champions League at home. That's what I'm saying. Like this team, you see the glimpses that you know there can be something done, but we need to get the results at home this year because in the past, like even last year, I was like you looked at games like Shakhtar Donetsk and Leipzig, like you had to get something. Like you had to win against Shakhtar, you had to maybe get a draw at home to Leipzig, and we couldn't do it. And it comes back to bite you, and you can't rely on going away. We just played the team that on paper should be the easier of the three opponents away from home, like because of the team. But it's so frustrating talking about it because you want to get your hopes up and then they just get dashed.
We need to take a lesson from Aberdeen because tonight they only lost 2-1 to Frankfurt.
It's a great result.
2-1.
It's a great result.
That's a fantastic result for Aberdeen, and they went there and they've challenged, and that's a side who won the Europa League 2 years ago.
Probably elongated Barry Robson's Aberdeen career by another month or so.
But genuinely, like we do have it in our system somewhere. They just need to dig deep and find it. Oh my God, Legia have also beat Aston Villa.
It was 2-1.
3-2 finished. Anyway, any final thoughts about Tuesday night before we move on to the halftime quiz? Because I'd rather look forward than look back. So if you've got any closing comments, speak now. If I ever hold your peace.
I've got nothing.
You holding your peace?
Yeah.
What's on your peace?
Butter.
Just butter. That's just a bit.
I would
boring, that.
have Billy Bear meat on it, but they've changed
here
it.
we go.
That's
No, the Billy Bear meat, Ryan,
sort of
man.
a pervy move, isn't it?
I've not. I thought like
Talking about Billy Bears as well.
I know.
What
It's 8
podcast
o'clock.
is
8
this?
o'clock on a Thursday night. It's their night tonight.
Thursday nights are obsession nights.
Right, let's get on to our half-time quiz because it's time for the return of Here We Go Tenable. It's been a while since we've had a wee Tenable one, and Kieran has prepared this a nice and easy one for tonight, one that I think that you two will maybe hit out the park. So we'll wait and see. Obviously, he's played us one together. It's been a while, lads, but a nice fun one to kickstart the half-time quiz. Slight change to the format to make it more interesting. The two will work together as a team, but they have 3 lives only. Oh, right, so...
We got an overrule as well.
Oh, an overrule?
Yeah.
An overrule.
It's like the team captain overrules on.
I've not watched
But if
it.
they say something, that's Ryan, they can overrule it.
Right. No, well, basically, you have to work together and be careful about it. Don't just dive in, confer with each other. And then if you get 3 wrong answers, then you're out. So, the topic of today's Here We Go Tenable is Celtic's top 10 record transfers. On the topic of all this money that we should
Right,
or should
sales.
purchases.
Right.
So, money Celtic have spent. Who is the top 10 of all time on the score?
First.
Julian.
Christopher Julian is in at number 2 with the £7 million.
Okay.
Odds and Edward.
Yes, £9 million. You've got the top 2. Edward, Julian.
Chris Sutton.
I'm fit. Do you know what the funny thing about this is? I'm picturing the wee sound in my head. Doom,
Dum, dum, dum.
Yes, Chris Sutton is number 4 on the list. So you've got Odds and Edward at 1, Chris Julian at 2, and Chris Sutton at 3. For reference, Chris Sutton at £6 million.
Neil Lennon.
Neil Lennon is on the list. He's made it. He is tenable. He's number 8. So you've got 1, 2, 4, and 8. Neil Lennon at number 8 at £5.5 million.
Number 8 at £5.5 million. Okay.
Yes.
Oof, 9 and 10. Yeah, that's that ballpark, innit? God, I can't even think. I'm really, really struggling here. Carter Vickers.
Correct. And at number 6, Cameron Carter Vickers with £6 million. So, Odds and Edward, Chris Julian, blank, Chris Sutton, blank, Cameron Carter Vickers, blank, Neil Lennon, and then obviously 2 blanks at 9 and 10.
Big day for the blank family.
Jota.
Jota is number 3 at £6.5 million. So, you have completed the top 4.
Okay.
There's a space in between Cameron Carter Vickers and Chris Sutton for number 5, just for reference.
We're getting no hints here, are we?
But you're doing well. You haven't wasted their life.
What's the gap near the top?
So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8.
So who was 6 and 4?
6 was Cameron Carter Vickers at £6 million, and 4 was Chris Sutton at £6 million. So there's another £6 million signing.
I'm thinking back to like the sort of Martin O'Neill signings. Is Raphael Scheidt on this?
He is. He comes in at number 9. Raphael Scheidt at £4.8 million.
4.8, right, okay.
So he's on nearly there. You have only got 3 to get. 3 more. So number 10, number 7, and number 5. So that's your
number 4, did we?
You got 4. It was Chris Sutton at number 4. Kieran, who you want to fathom, I guess?
I'm actually pure thinking. I feel like there's got to be obvious ones.
There's one that I wouldn't get. The other 2, I think I would.
Try to go back in my head. Like the eras of spending money like that.
Aye. You've got a 6 million, a 5.5 million, and a 4.6 million.
See
that 4.6 million.
See Navrovsky.
That's what I was thinking.
Does he make it on this list? Because I was thinking he was like 5 point something
Euros, yeah, so it would be
But
4.6, I
Is
think.
it?
I'd go for that.
I'll risk a life.
Yeah.
You've lost a life. Navrovsky does not make.
He must
the
be number
list.
11 then.
He must be. He must be. But there's someone there's someone recently who does clock in at 4.6 million.
4.6 million.
Yes.
Did he come from Ruben Kazan by any chance?
No, it did not. Did not come from Ruben Kazan. 4.6, 5.5.
Not Starfield? No. I'm not saying that.
No.
Just thinking out loud. I pure can't think. Like, my head goes blank this.
It's when you've got to think, you've got to cast your
Think
mind
about the
back.
downsizing.
There's
era
one
under
that I can't
Strachan.
believe you've not got. I can't believe you've not got number 5, 6 million. Can't believe you've not got.
Like, I don't know how I can't think of. I feel like I'm trying to think too far.
If we get to 37 minutes, I'll start dishing out
Can't
clues.
be. We're allowed to confer names, aren't we? Here.
Yes.
Scott's. I was thinking Scott Sinclair, but he never went for that amount. Was it not 3.54 million for
I thought
him?
it was something like that.
We said Edward, didn't we?
Said Edward Julian.
Edward, Julian. They were the two.
Just to give you, before I start dishing out clues, I'll give you one more thought. Edward, 9 million. Julian, 7 million. Jota, 6.5 million. Sutton, 6 million. Blank. Number 6 was Cameron Carter-Vickers at 6 million. Then you've got another blank at 5.5. Then it's Lennon at 8 with 5.5. Raphael Shite with 4.8. And then you haven't got number 10. So you've got to get 5, 9, 5, 7 and 10.
I feel he might be number 10.
Yeah, me too.
In my head he was like
got a guess?
4.5 million.
Same, yeah.
Who is it?
Because he was quite a coup at the time. Do you want to go for it?
Still, have we got 2 more lives left?
2 lives.
2 more. I think we should go for that. And Cham.
You've lost another life in Cham.
I feel like we're right below this fucking...
He has not made the
Clean the
list.
balls out, man. Oh my god, we need clues here.
I'm going to be here all day. Right, really can't
Okay,
think.
you've got 1 life left.
Barkas.
Oh, fuck it. I'll be
Here, by the way,
they're both £5
Now,
million signing.
Kieran has
on
not.
another one?
Kieran has
A
not.
Yeti?
Kieran has not put any of those players in his list. So I'm fact checking because
I'm
that's
sure they were both £5 million signings.
Barkas. Well, a Yeti was 5.5, I'm sure, and Barkas was 5.
Aye. So I remember I blocked them from my memory for a good bit.
interesting.
You put the two of them together.
Interesting.
Both left us.
Interesting. Ryan, just to clarify, the list that he's taken it from actually comes for your work. It was the Celtic Way who published this list, and if the Celtic Way is correct, then none of the answers that you just given are correct. Now, I don't know if it's anything to do with add-ons or fees, but Barkas doesn't make it, a Yeti doesn't make it.
Careful reported at £5 million.
But you have lost a life, and that means it's done. So you didn't complete tenable. Would you like to hear the completed list? Number 10 is Kyogo Furuhashi at £4.6 million.
I thought it was a
Never heard him.
So number 9, which you did get, was Raphael Shite. He came in at number 9. Number 8, he's got it. It was Neil Lennon. So he's got that one as well. Number 7, one of the ones you didn't get, coming in at £5.75 million, was Eyal Berkovic, who was signed from West Ham in 1999 for then club record. 5.75 million. Only played 32 games for Celtic. Number 6, Cameron Carter-Vickers. She's got that. Number 5. How did you not get this? John Hartson at £6 million.
See, when I was initially listening, I've like Sutton and Lennon, but I just didn't want to throw that out there early and lose life because
I just forgot about it. I did think
signed them for £6 million from Coventry, and then you've got the top 4. You've got Sutton, Jota, Julian, and Edward.
I'm still having the Barkas and the Yeti thing though.
I wonder what the science is behind that, because I'm going to do a second double check. I'm going to go into Celtic signings Wikipedia and see what Wikipedia is saying, because I feel like somebody's got to... If that's right, that's right. And I think it might be because of add-ons and clauses and stuff like that, but I don't know. I can't find the list, so I'm not going to bother looking. That's it. You're sorted. Unlucky, lads. That was your half-time quiz. Right, let's get quickly moving on to tomorrow then. By the time this podcast is up, it's Livingston. It's a tough game. Ryan, we spoke about it a lot today. I guess your thoughts remain much the same. Just a game Celtic have to win at a difficult venue.
Yeah, I think every game's a must-win, to be honest. Any game that Celtic play out with, against maybe European teams such as Atletico Madrid, I think now the Lazio game is a must-win. Any game, home or away, in the Scottish Premiership is a must-win. back to winning ways, hopefully. You know, Celtic have still got a strong squad. It should be more than enough to beat a Livingston side. No excuses on the plastic pitch. Brendan Rodgers came out and said that. He said it's a very different sort of plastic pitch than the one that they played on at Rugby Park. I think that's for the worse. I think the Rugby Park one's a lot better than the carpet that's at the Tony Macaroni. But no excuse. Celtic have got to go and get the 3 points, you know, and put some pressure on for the games later on the Sunday. I think Rangers playing the Sunday. When are Motherwell and St Mirren playing? Because you know they're second and third, so you know you got to put pressure on them.
I'd imagine they'll be 3 o'clock soon, unless who's Rangers playing this weekend? Is it Lydane?
Don't know. Can't even remember that. I'll tell you.
It's Motherwell, is it not?
It might be.
At home.
I'll tell you right now who Rangers are playing this weekend for all it matters in the Celtic podcast. But Rangers are playing on Sunday because obviously, Motherwell, Ibrox, Sunday, 3 o'clock. Kieran, we return to the Tony Mac, a place where we haven't had great fortunes overall, but over the last couple of years, it's been quite fun going. Can we keep that up?
I mean, we've got to, as McGinlay said, it is a must win because, as I was saying earlier, it's back to like maybe on the knife's edge a wee bit of the reaction, the support. So I think it would be good to try and put it to bed, like all the negativity for Tuesday. If we can just go out and get a good win on Saturday, no really. You've seen us struggle the past couple of years. You want to see, I mean, as much as you can see free flowing football on a 4G surface, but you just want a good performance. You don't want any scares or. Certain people might not get risked on the surface. I mean, certainly Nat Phillips definitely, even if he thought he was going to be fit for it, definitely won't get risked on that surface. So you won't see him, but I get maybe a chance for players like Palma to maybe try and get rid of the negativity for Tuesday, because I think he's came in for a lot of unwarranted. I mean, granted, he never looked at his best on Tuesday, but I'm not writing a player off after like accumulatively less than 90 minutes of football. Yep. So it's big for players to step up and right the wrongs of Tuesday, because, as we said on Tuesday, we never performed that badly until we let the goal in stupidly. So there was definitely signs, and we just need to keep it going. As you said, this is the benefit of playing on the Saturday with them playing on the Sunday. You need to take advantage of this.
Put the pressure
on them, because you would hate it if it was the other way about. But nah, you just want a professional performance.
You said a professional 3-0 last week, and you got a professional 3-0 last week, so hopefully they're listening to you, Kieran, and we do get a professional performance this weekend. Celtic are more than capable of winning, of course. We just need to make sure we don't return to bad habits, and as you have both already mentioned, that kind of knife edge that we rely on just now with the thought of toxic fans returning is just, I'd rather avoid that. So it's a big game, as is every game, but yeah, I'm excited. It's good to get to our one and only away game of the campaign. Well, 2 this year, because we had there twice. Ryan, a chance for some players maybe to come out from the cold? Do you think there'll be many changes? We'll come on to the starting 11. Or do you think it'll be much of what we've already seen in the past?
I'm trying to think of the team back to Tuesday
night. Scales has been brilliant over the last few games.
He's definitely getting an island call.
So, and a lot of people have went on about how they feel like I've not given him enough credit. Kieran, he's been brilliant over the last few games.
I mean, I've been very critical, mainly for the fact that I think if circumstances were different, he wouldn't be a Celtic player right now. Yep. But he's stepped up. He's not looked at a place. To be fair, I didn't think he was somebody I was really worried about going into the Champions League, but he proved himself to be more astute than Lago Bielka. Even though Scales isn't the most experienced person, he looked a lot more as if he was the experienced head.
Comfortable
in that centre-half pairing. So, I mean, you can't fault him. I mean, you had the game, I'm pretty sure I tweeted, like, Stevie May ended any notion of Liam Scales having a Celtic career because Nat Phillips was coming in and he got injured. Yep. So, I mean, Liam Scales is now having a Celtic career, and get it up, mate.
See how long it goes on. It's all about, consistency.
If he can perform, he deserves to be in the team.
Yep.
So fair play to him, and we're going to need somebody like him on Saturday, I think, because Livingston obviously love the big physical forwards. They play their game, they know their game, they're on the park, their park, so they know exactly what their game plan is going to be. You've got to set up to frustrate and attack directly onto the centre halves, and I think Liam Scales isn't too bad an option to be heading the ball away.
Yeah, as long as we don't rise to it and get any red cards on Saturday night.
Yeah, no.
Can't afford any more of them.
None of the attitude probably. Discipline.
Aye, none of that.
It's it's one of those games that you look at the away ground. I know we've had a good record over the past couple of years, but you still look at when you go to the Tony Macaroni, you're like, oh, that's one of those groan ones. You groan when you see that in the calendar. It's came upon us. It could be a good. Celtic make or break your weekend. I don't know about you, but they certainly do.
Yeah.
The result really does depend, or it does. It does make my words have completely failed me, but it does make or break your weekend. If Celtic don't win and you feel like crap the rest of it, Saturday midday kick-off, just get the result, get the 3 points, get back, no injuries, no ill discipline, no attitude problems or anything like that. Just put the best team out, get the job done, bring subs on, and then just go home with the 3 points and put pressure on.
Yeah. And Livi haven't been bad, so it will be a tough game. As I said in your stream earlier, they are floating in and around the mid-table just now. A team who just keep defying expectations. Every year I'm like, they've got to go down this year. And then...
So I feel like this year I've seen Mary Martindale bemoaning the fact he's not got a budget and that.
Him trying to punt that Nubly is a ready and a half, innit? He's desperate for somebody to come in and sign him. Like, he's peace. Nobody wants him. He's not that good.
He reminds me of the dad from Matilda. Danny DeVito.
What, Danny DeVito?
Like the wheeler dealer sort of guy. He's trying to punt Nubly. It's not happening. He's saying, he's basically talking him up, but nobody's in for him. That's the thing. It's
I've jinxed it. He's going to score, isn't he? I just said,
but he's going to do the griddy on us, isn't he?
Aye,
he did
but
it Brooks.
in the crowd.
Aye, I know. And I was sitting there, all right, Joel. Anyway, team prediction, score prediction. Let's go. We'll run through it very quickly. Joe Hart and goals, of course. Does the back four remain unchanged from Tuesday?
Yeah.
Lagerbielke needs to come out with an apology, really, didn't he? Sorry, lads.
He had a good game against Dundee. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just...
He was all right in that first half as well against Feyenoord. Like, he wasn't bad. He wasn't great, but they were keeping their chances away.
The Feyenoord boy gives it. He gets exactly what he wants. He gets the reaction, that Lemmy sketch. You give him exactly what you wanted. You jumped right in.
See with Lagerbielke, I mean, I've never really looked too much into his game before he came here, but I was surprised with the fact he looks like he's running through mud.
He's a big guy, isn't he?
No, but I expect him to be a bit more quick in his feet. And, I mean, he tracks back and gets the side tackle, and I noticed that against Dundee, but I was like, fucking hell, I had a bit more pace about you than that.
Starfield's recovery pace was a very, very underrated facet of his game.
Midfield three, does that remain unchanged, or will we maybe see Hatate drop out on Saturday?
You've got to play him up to full fitness.
Okay.
You play your best players. Turnbull, although Turnbull might fit on that plastic pitch for the sort of game that it might be, but then again, it's Hatate, innit? You play Hatate.
If it's not neat shit, 60 minutes you bring Dave Turnbull and just let him take digs at the goalkeeper because he can't play
the Ryan Christie role.
Aye. Oh, there's the Juju's already setting in for Rangers. Mark Bartra's getting taken off the park injured or something.
Probably advantage Betis, to be honest. He's always involved with like a Celtic defeat or a Celtic win because he was playing in the 2-1 game.
That's right. Aye.
He still looks as if he's about 12 years old.
And finally, the front three will remain unchanged from Tuesday.
Yeah,
just an unchanged side.
I think you've got. I think much like Hatate, you've got to play Lewis Palma into full fitness. I thought he was getting into the game about 2 minutes before he get taken off. There was one time that he actually beat his man.
Aye, that's right. He done something right before he went off. I was like, I trust you to do it.
I feel like if you want to let a player try and show what he can do, there's no point just getting wee bit parts at the end of the game. So I think let him try and make the impact and try and prove people wrong that have written him off after the game.
How long's he played? What? 70 minutes of football.
I mean, he's fallen into the project thing that people like. I think people are just seeing him as it's a project signing instantly shite. Like, no giving him the chance. So I'm hoping he can come out and
score a hat-trick.
Aye.
Mark my words, he's going to be a good player for Celtic. I've got no doubt whatsoever. He's got enough in his game. You can see it.
So you need to hope with games like Livi. It's a narrow wee pitch and that, but less room for them to run. But it's a game where you need people to be taking the full backs on because you want to get the low crosses in and that. Because it's going to be hard. You can't exactly whip the boys in.
Yeah.
Livi are just height or elf team. That's their game. You don't want to play their game. They want you to do that.
Tell you, El Yunusi would walk into this team just now at this moment in time. He's scoring for Copenhagen last night in the Champions League. He he's a good player, and people turned their nose up because Jota was there at the time, and then
But see, to
Jota
be fair, but we never seen Jota leaving at the point, so I was on that train. I didn't want him back at that point. I guess with hindsight's a wonderful thing.
absolutely.
I still don't think people would have been happy if we signed him.
No, I don't think so. He'd have got it as well after 45. He got it when he was here. If he had a bad game, well, he's not that good. You know what I mean? Like, it just happens with everybody. There's not even a point in having the conversation. Is it like how much money do you spend? Like, does it make it easier or harder? No, you're going to get it. If you play badly for one half, that's it.
I know.
You're done.
There's no pleasiness.
No, there is no. Right, let's go to Twitter questions then. I don't know, has Kieran got to you with a quiz? No, it was you I said to send it to. Has Kieran got to you with a quiz yet?
Have a wee look. Might be on.
He said he was going to send one. Whether he has.
I got nothing.
Got nothing. He's lied to me. Qatar's been too good to him, huh? Well, I did say to him at 7:25, if you make a full-time quiz, send it to McGinlay. He said it'll arrive to McGinlay in the next 10. It's now.
I will message him.
No, it's all right. It's fine. Don't bother.
No, I
He
want
does
a
enough.
Take
He does.
Twitter questions.
He does
and
enough.
then-
Nah. Twitter questions. Are we ready, ladies and gents? We're starting off as always with Cal because he's here. He's always here. He says half of the players, 8 out of 16, played their first game in the Champions League the other night. Do you think there's still a bedding in period to get these players used to competitive European football?
So yeah, I probably do need time, but you don't really have time because it's just you've got the 6 group stage games and it's put up or shut up, isn't it? So I mean, it is, you need to throw them in the deep end. If you've got an inexperienced squad, you can't exactly get this experience without just throwing them into these games. Everybody has to do it at some point. It's just a shame that so many. Like, I think that's maybe what people were annoyed about with the transfer window because Rodgers said he wanted experience and power, and you're wondering that's not really shown in the transfers that have been made. So I don't know. It's annoying when you've got like such an experience, but you've got players that you're confident belong at that level, like Matt O'Reilly and even Rio Hitaio, who no the other night as we've spoke about, but should be playing at that level.
Yeah.
Just quickly on that, I know it's a lot of people were saying what was Odin Holmes' inexperience that he caused that tackle. He does that tackling under 12 level, under 13 level, under 16, under 20. Any level of football, he'll get a red card for that.
Right.
It's not about, he's inexperienced. He should know better.
Aye, it was just a moment of stupidity.
Aye.
Also, he's got 100 senior appearances to his name. You know, he's got to be better there.
Aye. Adam is in. He's here all the time as well. He says there's much hope for this Champions League campaign. If we get beat by Lazio, it's over, in my opinion.
It's not nice to say, but
Probably
as I was just talking about earlier, the importance of the home games is massive now. Like every day even though I was trying to be realistic and thinking we were going to get beat against Feyenoord, I was hoping we could have got a draw or something just to set us off in a positive stead. But when you don't pick up in the game that you're going into the group stage, you're looking, you need to get a result away from home and then beat them at home.
Yeah.
So I think it is. I mean, as early as match day 2, you've not really got the faith that you're going to beat Atletico at home or beat Atletico away, or even this time round Lazio away. So you need to. I think it'd be massive if we can get the win against Lazio at home.
Who wants a VAR check for the quiz?
Uh-huh.
Says it's coming in the next 30 seconds. He's currently doing a tequila waterfall.
He's been on it more in Qatar than he has in Glasgow. What's happened to the drinking laws there? Jeez, a tequila waterfall. What the fuck's that?
Dunno.
A tequila waterfall. Oh, tequila waterfall. Oh, kill me. I'm sorry.
No,
He's a wee bit of TLC in that.
Oh, what's that? Right, let's fire through these while we wait
It's
for
here.
Oh, it's here. It's arrived. Caden's asked me how was the kebab pie, and I'm sorry to inform you that once again, I didn't have the kebab pie. I made the same vital mistake of eating right before I went to the game, which meant I wasn't hungry and I wasn't wasting money on a pie. So, Kieran, though, you had your
I
second.
had it the second one, just as good.
Just as good. Aye.
The
give it a go.
wee crest on the lid actually looked a lot better this time round.
Smelt delicious again. If you want to know that, it was. I need to make sure next game I'm hungry. Lazio, hopefully I'll maybe have a drink in me, which will enhance my
Did it take
need for
kebab
food.
pies at the Tony Macaroni Stadium?
Probably. Aye.
I'll be getting 3.
It's about 15 quid. Well, fair enough. If Celtic, Anthony Devine, who's always here as well, he's got a good question. If Celtic had a reality show like the Jungle or Big Brother, and it was past or present players to sign up for it, who would you want to see on it?
See, I know he's a horrible fascist, but I just think Paul Di Canio would end up being in the box office. Like,
yeah, Di Canio's got to be up there.
he'd end up killing somebody on the show.
I mean, Gravison's the easy one as well. Gravison to be on it. Any thoughts, Ryan? I'd love to see Brendan on it. Brendan, just get him on it. He'd be a good
Depends
laugh.
what you're looking for, because you could just go Lee Griffiths. Would be. Could you imagine if they put Lee Griffiths and Mark Letizia in this in the same household? It'd be Bendy Water, the sequel.
Put Matt Letizia in a fucking padded cell, man. He has lost it.
What was it he was on that podcast saying like last week?
It was on James English, because I seen a couple on Twitter and he was talking about like the moon landing and that.
Oh, aye.
Of course, yeah.
Aye. Alright, brother. How you doing, brother?
That, he was like, that James English, we've not been back to him. Like, we have you fucking dick.
We can send rovers to Mars and that. Who else though could go in it?
Joe Hart, I think would be a good laugh.
Yep, that's fair enough. He's probably heading that way, to be fair, anyway.
Come on.
Reality. I'm a Celebrity's calling him in the next couple of years, isn't it?
Probably, it's really fair.
I can actually imagine him in the like. See, just I know you're saying it a jokey way, but I can imagine him in the get up, like.
What,
I can see the red.
The red vest. I can actually see that.
But I think when he retires, I think he
is destined for the jungle.
I can imagine his wee promo in that, like
turning around and doing like the wee cut.
See, but then again,
turns around and he's at the and he'll do it with his hair like the head and shoulders advert.
See, the thing is though, we just seen directly into your thoughts there with that head and shoulders thing. But the thing is, I was thinking he'll want to cleanse himself of all the Celticness and just go on that SAS Who Dares Wins with Ant Middleton. I can just imagine him that would be his detox from Celtic. He just goes on to that and just pure loves Ant Middleton. I think he's actually he get the sack from that show. That Ant Middleton.
Did he?
Yeah.
he's a weapon.
I think my
That's
dad
what they want you to believe, says Matt Letizia, probably.
They got it as a gift for Christmas. Not read it, but I'm sure my dad got his book for Christmas or something like that.
I don't know.
Aye.
Who the fuck got that?
I don't know, but I'm sure I've seen it about my house.
You go downstairs and
See your dad
doing
gambles.
push-ups. Your man's shouting at me, drop and give him 20.
Right, let's see. Thoughts on El Yunusi's goal last night? I've not seen it.
It's a good goal.
Good goal, aye. Didn't even know he
Were they
scored.
away for home?
Galatasaray.
That was for Che.
Of course it was. She loves El Yunusi.
Aye. Let's see. Oh, Nathan's asked, pick 2, drop 2. Cocoa Pops, Weetabix, cornflakes and Rice Krispies. Also, have you seen the new Kit Kat cereal flavour? There's a Kit Kat cereal.
That's a game changer.
That is, I need to try that.
I don't like Weetabix. I actually quite like cornflakes. I don't get to take them out Rice Krispies.
Nah, I'd keep Rice Krispies, absolutely.
I do like Rice Krispies, but I don't know. I'm just a
If I was
sucker
to,
for a simple.
see, I don't like Cocoa Pops, right? I've never been a Cocoa Pops boy, but when I'm on holiday, there's something about Cocoa Pops on holiday. So if I'm keeping 2, I'm keeping my holiday Cocoa Pops and my Rice Krispies, and I'm dropping cornflakes and Weetabix.
That Oreo cereal's nice, man.
Cereal always tastes better on holiday.
Aye.
Just one of those.
I think the reason I like Cocoa Pops on holidays because the standard for every hotel is like bran flakes, Cocoa Pops, cornflakes, and then some other like shite muesli.
Are you meaning like the dispensers that you pull? Yeah,
that's like the
you turn
standard
cog.
4. It's always them. And Cocoa
So you're
Pops
an
is the
all-inclusive man now, are you?
most... Oh, listen.
Not a self-caterer?
No.
Tory.
My breakfast on holiday isn't gone in my belly unless it's stuck in a frying pan. None of that cereal pish.
What 2 are you keeping, Kieran? Ryan?
Rice Krispies and cornflakes.
Nice.
Although I prefer some Cheerios, but they're not on the list.
I've got a good few food questions today because Jack Daly's asked, what's its quavers and skips? Rank them.
Skips, what's its quavers? Quavers are pish.
I like
Quite like a quaver, eh? I quite like them.
I think what's it's deserved to be at the bottom because of the orange, the orangeness that you get on your fingers.
But if you had the big flaming what's it's, they are filthy. If they're involved, they would go to the top. If we're going
What was
off
the other one?
so Skips, quavers, what? Skips is undisputedly number 1.
Skips are
Easy.
unreal.
Number 1. And I think I'd have what's its last in the quavers.
I'm going to need to have a packet of quavers. I've not had a packet of quavers in about 15 years or
One
something.
last night.
We used to have they don't do this anymore because people, wines probably aren't too smart anymore and they'd swallow them. But they used to have like the wee Pokemon chips at the bottom of them, and you would open them up and they would sit them actually at the bottom. They couldn't do that nowadays because a Wayne would choke.
Choking hazard, man.
I just got a really weird flashback. I don't know if people get
We're
that.
safe in this podcast.
It's as if Wayne's didn't choke prior to the year too.
I shook it now. That was the last.
Social media has changed children. Liam's asked Kieran, what do you do with your hair in the morning?
I just shower like every other man. I get a towel dry.
That's
Hope
it.
for the best.
Wow, it's a very limited routine. That
I used to actually like put a lot more effort into it, but
you don't need to. You don't need to. I suppose. This morning I just done the same. Woke up, done bugger all, but
now we can tell.
right. I don't know where my heart. A lot of questions about Tuesday night, which I feel like we've covered. A lot of questions on the transfer model, which I feel like we've covered. So apologies if you feel like we've skipped your questions. One more to finish us off before we move on to the full-time quiz. If you could only get one in January, would you choose a keeper or a left back?
That is a really tough one.
And that was Sean.
Depends the quality of the player that comes in, to be honest, because I think a left back could really revitalise things out.
I'd pick left back.
Yeah, probably.
I can handle Joe for one more season.
Can you not handle Greg Taylor?
No, I can as well. I like Greg, but we don't have enough depth in that area.
I'd like Greg Taylor in the Anthony Ralston role, whereas he can come on after 60 minutes and he can do a job. I don't want him to be our first choice, and that sounds terrible because he's been so good for us. But we've moved him back to that traditional role, and it isn't working. It just doesn't. He didn't have a good game again. I don't think he's had a good game this season, to be honest with you. I just think a left back, another Alistair Johnson would be great on the left hand side.
And if you were to pick quick, Kieran?
I'll go left back.
Left back. So we're all going left back.
As long as it's not another Bernabeu.
Right, it's time then to finish off the show. We're just over the hour mark, so let's try and batter through our full-time quiz, where I desperately need to win this week because
there's a bit of stakes on this one as well. You should see the comment that's below this.
Okay. Well, just to give you a quick recap of the league table, I've played 4, lost 4. So that's
the
that.
Champions League.
So Kieran's got a chance to get, I think maybe your second win. Have you got 2 already? I can't remember. But a chance for you, Kieran, and Ryan. You're the quiz master, so over to you.
The stakes are high today. If Fitzsimons loses 5 in a row, another person needs to host the podcast.
Right, okay, right, fair enough. Who's going to be the host?
Probably be me, wouldn't it?
Do you know what? Somebody else can host it then if I lose today.
We'll bring somebody off the street. Won't debrief them on that. We'll just sit them down.
It's a Rangers fun. Oh Christ! Right.
So will we give Ryan the choice to be player A? Player A, player B. You could get the handicap here. Player A or player B, Ryan?
Do you know what? Usually I like going first because I just like getting my questions out the way. But this week I'm going to go player B.
Okay. So Kieran, you're going to go first. And if you, the wee tagline, and if you know your history, no special theme, no specific era or anything like that, today's quiz is a general knowledge of Celtic Football Club.
Oh God!
I was hoping that it was going to be general knowledge there. I was like, come on.
So, player A, which is Kieran, question 1. Andrew Cairns is an iconic figure of Celtic history who goes by which other title?
Oh.
Andrew Cairns is an iconic figure of Celtic history who goes by which other title?
Is this an obvious one?
I think so.
I genuinely don't know.
Guess.
No.
You passing?
Are you actually passing this?
I don't know. Andrew Cairns?
Andrew Cairns.
Is this like I'm going to kick myself? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll read it one more time, right? I think it's fair enough.
Right,
you know,
okay.
It's the first question. Come on, guys. Andrew Cairns is an iconic figure of Celtic history who goes by which other title? What's he more commonly known as?
Pass.
Brother Wilfred.
Brother Wilfred.
I didn't know that was his actual name.
I didn't know his name was Andrew Cairns, but come on,
No.
man, whatever title.
Iconic figure.
Was it
Celtic
hardly going to be
history.
Jockstein, was it?
I wasn't even thinking that far back. I was thinking
Come on, advantage, Ryan, let's go.
Stop the count. Stop the count.
Stop the count. I can't believe you didn't get that.
Player-
I thought because you're an intelligent boy, I thought you're like the other title part where they gave it away.
The name just peeled through, isn't it? Like, I wasn't even thinking iconic figures. I was like, Andrew Cairns.
It's
Is it somebody that went to school with?
I know, Kearns.
Right, come on, get me going. Let's do
Player
this.
B. In the Love Street 1986 title
was there.
decider,
My dad was
aka Albert Kiddie. That's not the answer, Ryan. Celtic scored. whose family member of Ryan's was there? Celtic scored an outrageous passing move that many consider one of our best ever goals. Who scored the goal?
It's not pure. Oh, I can't remember,
It's another iconic figure.
no. Well, no.
I think I know the answer to this one.
No. I had it in my head, like, it's there, I can see it. And I can see, like, the picture. And I just cannot think for the life of me who it is now. I'm not even want to make an arse of myself, so I'm just going to pass.
You can't. You've got to give a name.
I didn't.
I know you said
I know,
pass. Right, I don't know, because it's no fucking McGrain. Who else was in the team around that time? Jeez, oh, no. No, I don't like this.
I've got a few names in my head who it could be, but I think I've got what I think the answer is.
I pass.
Judas,
I was
aka
gonna say,
Mo Johnston,
That was
an
it.
iconic
He was
figure.
one of the names in my head. He was one of the names in there.
I thought you were going to say
And I
Brian
didn't.
McCoy or
The
something.
reason I didn't want to say because what Love Street was 1986, so I wanted to say Mo Johnson, but in my head I had this picture of Johnson just playing through the 90s, and
That's 'cause he went to
and that's why I didn't say it.
Nothing each. Going into question number 2. Kieran, what was the quoted figure Celtic took with them to Seville in 2003 by UEFA? It's a round number.
See, I feel it. The mad account on Twitter that slags the Celtic
Seville
fans.
calculator.
So the amount of ones I've seen branded it, was it 80,000?
That's what I was gonna
Correct.
say.
1-0. Player B. We've got a true or falser here.
Right.
True or false? Celtic never wore the home kit in any of our away ties on the road to Seville.
No, this feels like a trick question because I know, and I'm sure I'm right, and I might be wrong. Who knows? Maybe I'm making a tit myself here. I'm sure we wore the away kit, right? But right, so repeat the question.
True or false? Celtic never wore the home kit in any of our away ties on the road to Seville.
I feel like we wore it in a home game.
Listen to the question.
True or false? Celtic never wore
Did they
the
wear the
home
home-
kit
Oh, all right.
in any of our away games.
True.
False.
They wore it at
They wore it at Anfield, I think.
Oh wait,
Anfield saw the-
wait. Did you say Seville?
Yeah.
I was thinking Lisbon. I was thinking Lisbon that whole time.
It was in black and it was in black and white anyway. How can you
No
tell
wonder
that?
I'm fucking 4 for 4 in losses. So is it still 1-0, Kieran?
Yep, it's 1-0. Question number 3. This is a cracker. Not in a good way. Moussa Dembele is known to have burst onto the scene in our 5-1 masterclass of Warbiola's Rangers. However, many of our first memories will be his last gasp qualifying penalty winner over which side?
That's easy.
But penalty winner in a qualifier.
Against last gasp qualifying penalty winner over which side? What side was it?
Astana.
Correct. 2-0,
That
Kieran.
question there, I was like, as if it was his last game. I was like, I mean, his last
His
game.
last
It was one of his
gasp.
first.
Last gasp. Player B. A couple of seasons later. Odsonne Edouard scored his first ever Celtic goal against who?
Hamilton.
Correct. It's such a scuff as well.
Uh,
Totally unlike when he scored that goal. I thought this guy's just going to be just like sort of a raw striker. It's the elegance that he brought to that role as well. You know, any chance to talk about Edward? Player A, number 4. Who scored the winner in the 2018 League Cup final against Aberdeen?
Ryan Christie.
Correct. You need to you need this to stay in the game. Or it's 4 for 4.
Go.
Is it 4 for 4?
well, 5 for 5 it'll be.
Who? Oh my god. Player B. Who scored our goal in the Munich Olympia Stadion in our 2-1 Champions League defeat in 2003?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Alan Thompson.
Correct.
Oh yes! Come on, you beauty. I had a feeling. Yes.
Right. To win.
Is this
Kieran.
question number 5?
Yes. Question number 5. I've actually had my picture taken with this guy. This is random. 2 very random players from round about the same time. Rabiu Ibrahim was from which nation?
I don't know, Jeff.
Nigeria.
Correct.
No.
I don't remember because I done a Kilmarnock.
He was on loan at Kilmarnock. Oh no, he was there permanent. Was
Oh,
I remember
just
doing
get on
a
with
FIFA and I signed him actually.
There you go. Give me my fucking pointless last question.
Which nationality was Lasad?
Oh God, what was it for again? Lasad.
I know this because I had a Facebook page dedicated to him.
Was it for Israel?
No, Tunisian. And then the tiebreaker was, how many goals did we score on the road to Seville?
I don't care. I don't care. 2 for all I care.
Just Henrik's goals. Every other one was penalty ones. 27. 5 for 5. And he's lost his podcast.
I don't want to play
I
anymore.
managed to win that after not getting Brilla Wilfred in the first question.
Because I fucking didn't listen and
What ones didn't you get, Ryan?
the one that I thought you said Lisbon for.
Albert Kidd won the
yeah,
title
Albert Kidd.
decider. The false for the kit that you thought it was a trick question. You thought it was Lisbon.
I don't know what I might
Alan Thompson.
I might be I might be factually wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I have this image in my head of Celtic playing like Voynedina or something in '67, and we were wearing all green at Celtic Park. But I might have made that up. But I just have this image in my head. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't care. I've lost.
I had an image in my head of Joe Hart gone into I'm a Celebrity, didn't I?
Right, well, aye. Next week, one of you are having to host the show. Seems.
We'll get Mackenzie back.
Aye.
He's been waiting for this moment.
Welcome back, Mackenzie. Well, that's us for this week. It's been a pleasure as always. I'm just about
Simons get battered everywhere he goes. Fitzsimons get battered.
That's such an English song, isn't it, man? Like, right, that'll do us for today. We better get up the road anyway. Ryan, thank you as always.
Thanks for having me.
Aye.
And thanks for helping me today with my other stream.
It's always a pleasure. And Kieran.
It's good being back. Nice to get a wee win under the belt for the quiz.
Oh, goodbye.